Okay, I'd like to talk today about atheism as a worldview. Now, from the Christian perspective, and with Christian assumptions, atheism is a worldview. It makes assertions and it has implications. But from within the atheistic worldview itself, actually, it's not a worldview. If you follow through logically what atheism leads to, it ends you up in oblivion. Okay? So, let me explain. If atheism holds, and I'm defining atheism here, atheist, as someone who does not think there's any metaphysical realm out there. And I can include in here the agnostic atheist, which I find interesting. Someone who doesn't know if there is a metaphysical realm out there, you don't know. This could apply to them just as well. An atheist is someone who does not think there's any metaphysical realm, or doesn't know. So that means that atheists do not think there is any rational realism. That means there's no objective rational realm out there. There's nothing rational outside our own minds. So what this means is that the ideas in your mind about rationality are just subjective opinions. There's nothing to base all of them off of. So, let me give you an example here. The solipsist doesn't think that the physical world exists outside of his mind. So, you have an apple here, right? I have an apple. The solipsist, how silly would it be for me to argue with the solipsist if this apple, what color it is? The solipsist doesn't think the apple's really there. Why would I argue with him? The solipsist doesn't think I'm there. So, to argue with that there's no objective apple outside the solipsist's mind. He thinks all that is outside of his mind is simply an illusion, a subjective experience. All he knows is that he exists and that he's sensing things. So the apple doesn't exist in reality. There's no objective reference point to test the apple's existence or what color it is or anything. This goes the same for atheists. If there's no objective rational realm, then you have nothing to base any type of rational judgment off of. Nothing. There's no. This is simply an idea you have in your mind. It's an illusion to think that anything transcends. Any judgment transcends your own opinion. So, when atheists make judgments about theism as irrational, they are making an assertion without any foundation. If atheism holds there is no objective rules of logic, those are simply ideas that you have in your head. Those are opinions that have no basis in reality, objectively apart from me and you. So if that's the case, then all you're saying that theism is irrational is baseless. Also, let's assume for a second, and theists do this because they want to talk with atheists, they assume that atheists understand rationality and basic rules of logic because we accept that God has given everybody a part of his rationality, and so we go from there, and atheists like to jump in on that and then go from there and prove theism is wrong. But if atheism holds, then there's no part of us that's outside the system. Everything we do, say, think is determined. It's all determined. Therefore, our rationality is only based on the cause and effect of the universe. It's not based on anything out there. If it corresponds to reality, it does so by accident. Because everything's determined. Even the thoughts you're thinking, it's all determined. It's just the cause and effect of the universe. It's molecules in motion. So that shows that that undercuts atheist epistemology. Third, atheists accept naturalistic evolution from start to finish. There's no metaphysical realm involved in that. Now, if that's the case, that means that our reason is based in survival, not in getting truth, which would make our reason unreliable. So there too, you have atheism undercutting any type of epistemology that's based on truth. So if, and this could go for the moral realm as well, we could go right there because atheists don't think there's any type of objective moral realm out there. They think that all these ideas of morality are simply in our head. These are just opinions. There's no morality. There's nothing objective outside of our minds about morality. So any moral judgments that an atheist may make, saying things like religion is evil, is another baseless assertion. So any type of atheism, and then if you don't know, then you don't know if you're you have no ground to stand. You don't know if you're standing on any ground. If you don't know if there's a metaphysical realm, so you're not sure, which would also make it baseless and tenuous at best. So if any type of atheism holds, our rational and moral judgments are baseless, determined nonsense, only geared for survival. Basically white noise. That's all our thinking would be. So when atheists tear down theists, what they do, they talk about Christianity and they say how stupid it is and look at this or that. They tear that down, and what do? They exchange it for oblivion. There's nothing. They're standing on nothing. It's complete baseless assertions is what they're standing on. So what they're basically saying is that they're like someone who's saying that, oh look, the earth, it's a bad place to live. It's stupid to live there because there's tsunamis, there's earthquakes, and there's volcanoes, and most of the earth is water and deserts. There's all these deserts and all these dangerous places and evil animals that could kill us. So let's go live in outer space where there's no epistemological error and there's no moral gravity. There's nothing. So it's exchanging, they're tearing down theism for oblivion. There's nothing there. So they're like people who want to play football. They want to play football, be in the football game, but they don't want any rules. They don't want any refs. They don't want a football field. And they don't want to be on a team. But they want to still say how every other football team is playing it wrong and it's so dumb the way they're doing it. So actually atheism, if it holds from within its own assumptions, any assertion, moral or rational, becomes a white noise. It just implodes on itself. It can't sustain itself. Because there's nothing, no rational objectivity out there. There's no objective morality out there. There's nothing. So just like with the apple, with me arguing with the synopsis about the apple, it's silly. Why even argue? Let's establish first that there's some type of objective apple out there to say if you're right about it or wrong. Okay? So, and some atheists will say, well, all these differing opinions about morality. Correct. But if there's no objective morality out there or no objective rationality out there that we have to base all this off of, we can't say if any opinion is right or wrong. Just the same thing if there's no apple. Yes, my experience of this apple is subjective. My opinion of what color it is subjective. But for me to make an assertion that this apple is red and yellow like it is and not purple, if someone's to make the assertion, that would mean I'm correct. I couldn't say that I'm correct in it if this apple actually didn't exist in reality, if there's no objective apple out there. You see? So that goes the same. So the question is not if our opinions are subjective, they are, but are they right or wrong, and do they correspond to reality? That's the question. But if atheism holds there's no objective moral or rational realm outside our own minds, they're simply opinions. And they're determined, and they're geared for survival. So all the epistemological legs fall off on atheism. It completely implodes on itself. Okay, well, make some comments and respond. I'd like to see your responses to this. I myself went into empirical verificationism for a while, and that's a stripe of atheism, and I saw the implications of it, and I backed out real fast because of this. I'd have no ground to stand on. So these are the things that I reasoned through when I was in empirical verificationism. Okay, well, make some comments. Thanks for watching.